We mentioned earlier that the background of the drawing environment here is black, but sometimes people change it to white. You find it kinder on your eyes if you leave it at white, but of course quite soon in your work you'll want to see what the drawing is going to look like on the printed sheet. Well, GardenCAD Plus gives you an easy way to do that. If you move to the bottom of the screen, no matter which drawing you are working with, if the drafter has set up some views and paper space views, you'll see an appropriate tab down at the bottom. The tab can be named, given a name to indicate what it is. This one's just called Layout. So if I click on it, I go to the Layout sheet. So now we're simulating what the plot is going to look like on paper. Now you can see this is a design for an outdoor classroom. The classroom is here and children can step out into this space, and there are some extensive notes at the top about the designer's intention to stimulate children to understand different shapes, sizes and ponds and so on. So it's meant to be quite a flexible area for a teacher to work with their students. I can right click and zoom extents. I can use all the same tools that we've been practicing in the model space environment. So if I click on this tab called Model, when I'm in the model space environment, everything's full size. So if I use the measurement tool and set Tools, measure the distance from one side to another, you can see it's close to 10 meters. That says distance 10,015. I'll hit the Escape key to stop that command. If I wanted to measure that distance accurately, there are a number of ways to do it. I could select the line that represents that boundary, but you can see it's a compound line. It moves around the corner, so to speak. Let's unselect it, and what we can do, just zoom out a little so we can see the entire line. I can say Tools, Distance, I'm going to measure from. So down the bottom here in my computer, I've got a little square box. That's called an object snap. So I can snap to the end point of the line. See, as I move my cursor near the end point of the line, I get a little highlighting box. There it is. It latches on to the end of the line. So I can say from there is my first point. Then I can come across over here and zoom in again if I like, but I have to go back and pick that little square box and go click. Now you can see the distance is exactly 10,000 units. So it's 10,000 millimeters from one side to the other. So it's a 10-meter space that the designer here is working with. So everything in this black area here, in this model space, is full size. But when I go to Layout, a scaling factor has been applied as this is placed on the sheet of paper. We're not sure here what size sheet of paper we have. There are a number of ways to determine that, but an easy way here would just be to say Tools, pick Distance. So what's the distance from one edge of the paper to another? And it's 294. So clearly that's a piece of A4 paper, and I can have any size paper I want. This happens to be presented on an A4 sheet at the moment. So you don't use the distance command to measure clear real distances in the real world here in paper space, because there's a scaling factor being applied to it. We come back here to the model zoom extents when we want to measure distances. You'll also notice that some sort of attempt at applying a hand drafting influence to this design has been made by choosing a font that gives a hand lettering font. You can do even more to create an illusion of hand drawn by some other techniques that we'll show you later. So experiment with a drawing such as this, moving from model space to paper space, and get confident about it.